Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity, your recovery-focused podcast with your host, Keegan. Today, they say that the truth will set you free, but sometimes it might cost you everything. Our guest has survived a high-control religious upbringing in Louisiana, only to find herself spending almost $1 million in a legal battle to save her child and escape the mental prison of a narcissistic marriage. But she didn't just survive, she also decoded the energy behind the trauma. Today, she is a master manifester, an intuitive coach, and the author of Fill Your Soul the Feminine Way. She's here to help us bridge the gap between the different realms and the daily struggle of setting boundaries. So, Lillian Savoy, how are you doing today? Did I pronounce your last name right? I totally forgot to ask before we started.
Close, Savoy.
Savoy. Well, how are you doing today? And can you tell us a little bit about your backstory and what all you've experienced?
And isn't that funny how we get to the other end of the trauma and then never want to talk about it again? But it's your story and it's my story. And the good news is it wasn't $1 million, it was only $500,000. And there's always more money to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting, like the path that we pick. I was raised in the South, and, we're really raised with the man being the head of the household and the woman raising the kids. And then we are, the white picket fence. And I'm not sure if every woman is taught this now, or every little girl has that image, but I think times are changing and paradigms are changing and timelines are shifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, it was, the man was making the money and the woman would raise the kids, and our roles were reversed. And I was, the breadwinner of mine, and I did get the new house and the new car and the new baby. And as soon as she popped out, I was like, I need a divorce. What is wrong with me?
Oh, wow.
And I think a lot of people don't tell women that, holding a baby inside of you for 9 months and then birthing this child that you're supposed to take care of, that you're so happy about, all of a sudden you look to your partner and you're like, what am I doing? Now I have, this human that I need to raise that I have no idea what I'm doing. And all of a sudden, in about, 30 seconds to a minute, you're reevaluating your whole life. And it's just so overwhelming, Keegan. No one prepares you for that.
Yeah.
Now, at least there's podcasts and stuff about hormones. And, it is the age of, Aquarius now. So we can find information everywhere. But I mean, just in as little as, 20 years ago, it was just this one book called What to Expect When You're Expecting. And they did not talk about your marriage. They did not talk about roles and demands and what happens if you're the person, making money and your spouse isn't. They didn't talk about that stuff.
Huh. Wow. That sounds like that was almost like a culture shock of sorts, right?
I think it's a culture shock, and I think it has to do, you're birthing out this baby, you're giving life to something,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you have all these expectations. Okay, but then you want to be in this bliss. I mean, here's this beautiful child, right? You made it through childbirth, the child made it through childbirth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's alive and well, and then
Mm-hmm.
now you have to figure out how to get along and how to do bottles and how to nurse and how to change and how to stay awake. And it's just a lot. And I think the conversation to avoid the trauma moving forward, right? Because I mean, we're always going to procreate and we're always going to bring babies into the world.
Yeah.
I think it just needs to start from like a very young age, not like practical, like, yeah, you need to make this much money and do this and,
Mm-hmm.
save this. And I mean, because that takes the joy out of it.
Yeah.
But also like some education around, okay, it's okay if you lose your shit.
Yeah.
It's okay if you wake up one day and you decide, oh, I made a mistake.
Mm,
I picked someone maybe that I don't want to spend the next 100 years with.
mm, yeah. And I think that you have a really good point right there, because I mean, growing up in my world, it was very much Disney had a huge role in everything. And it was like, oh, you have to find the right one, and then it's all going to be happily ever after, and this, that, and another.
Yeah.
A lot of false expectations right there. And they were really hard to kind of get through. So I can't imagine having like birthed a baby and then having that same realization of like, oh, like now what? Like this was not good. So how did you start to get through that shock of sorts?
I think I probably acted out a lot as far as, there was a lot of wine drinking going on.
Mm,
There's a lot of happy hours. There was a
mm,
lot of work. I threw myself into work, you know.
yeah.
There's a lot of long, like late nights as far as working late, trying to avoid, dealing with how you feel about how I feel and how the other person feels. So I think throwing myself into work and throwing myself into wine. Oh, and working out. I mean, I was rail thin, you know, um, living off of protein shakes and wine and raising baby and,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how do I get out of my marriage peacefully.
Mm-hmm. Oof. So you pretty much had that idea right away that like, oh, the divorce needs to happen, otherwise this is not going to be good, right?
I did. I think that's the point where, that's what I teach intuition. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I do. So, in a one sentence, everybody's like, what do you do in one sentence, right? You're like, I have no idea. But if you had to nail me down today, it's like, I'm a teacher of intuition because I really trust my own.
Mm.
And and yes, I made so many mistakes when that intuitive message came in and I was like, "Oh shit, I got my baby. That's what I wanted, but I don't really want this relationship."
Mm.
You know, and for some people it's opposite, right? They don't want
Mm-hmm.
the baby, but they want the relationship. So there's no right or wrong. That was just my story.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, how do we get out of this, and how do I do it as friends, and how do I do it while I don't have the white picket fence? I mean, all that stuff goes away, right?
Mm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, two incomes, you can't afford the big house and the new car and the, you know, so you have to start to really look at yourself and just make changes. And how much do we really want to give up in order to make those changes?
Mm. Okay. Yeah, that's rough. And it sounded like a lot of calculated sacrifice, but at the same time, like how scary was it to lean into your intuition at that point? Because growing up in the South and being with religious households, it's very much like, hey, you heard a voice in your head. That's not good. You need to go to like someplace.
Oh my gosh, Keegan, you nailed it. So it's like I'm still the black sheep of the family, okay? Or whatever you want to call it these days. I'm still the one that I walked in last night to our family dinner and I have my healing book of frequencies,
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh, look what we can do for the bladder meridian. And oh, let's do this for Alzheimer's. And I'm like, oh, look at all these homeopathics for, you know, um, for constipation. So I'm
Hmm.
always trying to like heal something because that's like the fixer side of my personality.
Hmm.
So, when something doesn't go right, I'm like, ooh, we need to fix it. So, way back in the day with the first baby, I was like, ooh, something doesn't feel right. I need to fix it.
Mm.
Well, but the problem is that you're working with two people and not both people want the same outcome.
Ooh.
You
Yeah.
know? I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's so selfishly, it's like I want it out and the other person didn't want out.
Hmm.
But then, so then it becomes like a power struggle. So there's more wine drinking and more work and more fighting. And then
Mm.
it's just, you know, and I
Yeah.
really had an interesting epiphany today.
Oh.
I don't think, okay, so today is 16, almost 16. I'm in my 16th year,
Oh wow.
okay, of my first divorce. And we're friends now.
Oh
We're
wow.
friends. Okay. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I mean, I do have my Disney ending. I can relate with you, okay? I
Uh-huh.
was raised by Disney and Cinderella. Um, so I forgot my point. But anyway, 16 years. Yes. So 16 years today, I was like, I don't know that I'm still over some of the work trauma that I had.
Hmm.
Because I was listening, just kind of, looking up your background and just kind of, doing my little Lillian research and I was like 16 years and I still have some kind of block because when I divorced, I had to quit my job, move out of state, leave all my friends. And I was at the height of my career, the height of my friendships. And, I was on top of the world with my, baby girl. And 16 years later, I'm like, am I really over that all of that trauma? My
Hmm.
body does remember some of it because occasionally when I have a work block or a money block, I think back and it's it goes back to that trauma of having to give up everything to
Hmm.
get to the next step of what I really thought I wanted.
Hmm.
Is that
Yeah.
is that too
No.
convoluted?
No, not at all. Not at all. I appreciate the depth and everything because it's one of those things that if we don't talk this kind of stuff out and let other people know where we've been, how we felt, then they may not be able to find a way out themselves, you know? And it's kind of like how whenever I was in my addiction, I thought that I was the worst alcoholic ever, you know, and hearing other people's stories, I was like, yeah, okay, like maybe I'm not alone, but for some reason there's still that pain of like I'm still no one really sees and understands, but it's because I wasn't telling it, you know. And so it's really good that you're able to sit here and recognize that like 16 years later, you're still having these kind of things pop up, these ideas probably because and it's I think it's great that you found what you think is the root because now you can do something with it. And I mean, having to sacrifice everything is a trauma, and I don't think a lot of people actually talk about that. So I want to say thank you for bringing that up because I mean, it's scary as hell, you know, because what do you do whenever your safety net is just gone? Whenever every the life that you built is all of a sudden not there anymore because what are you going to do is probably the first question anyone would ask like, well, what now? And I mean, d- listening to anything most people would say you don't do that, you know. And so oh sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say it's hard not to go into the future, but you're right. Like you cannot go into the future or you have to coach yourself not to go into the future.
Mm, okay. So not go into the future. So not future tripping. So
I
it's
like that. Future tripping.
yeah. I don't recall where exactly I heard that. I think it was in some of the recovery rooms. But it was very much like uh, if you're thinking too much in the future, you're future tripping, and that's why you're tripping up over everything that you're doing. And for me, I always equated that with anxiety. You know, depression's living in the past, and anxiety's living in the future. And if I want to be present, I have to be well mindful and aware of where I'm at right now. But that can be hard whenever it's like everything I'm doing now is both reliant on the things that I've experienced in the past and where I want to go forward in the future, you know?
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
how,
I use an intention called surrender to the will of the universe, and it's written
ooh,
on my mirror. And I have a list of intentions on my mirror. So I'm an intention. Um, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say, but I do a lot of intentions,
okay.
especially do them towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year. So I kind of re look at my life from the past year, and then I kind of start to do some intuitive guidance and meditation and really and card reading. I do some oracle cards, some tarot cards, and I start to kind of pick apart what intentions are for me for
Mm,
this year. And I try not to do any intentions as far as new house, new car, trip to Mexico. I try not to do any of those. So no more dream boarding and dream visions, so to speak. I do more intentions like surrender to the will of the universe, experience the unknown, appreciate magical opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So I write all those intentions down and put them on my mirror, and then I read them every morning when I'm brushing my teeth or putting on my makeup. And I just ask myself, does this still resonate with me? Do these intentions still resonate?
Hmm.
Are they still, am I still vibing with them? Does that one need to go? Does that one need to stay? And it's a whole process that has taken, I've been into it, we're in the end of February. So it's been 2 months of me looking at these intentions and I still like them.
Mm.
And some of them are really hard to get into. And to surrender to the will of the universe means that I cannot think about the future. I cannot future trip, which is going to mean my new favorite word.
No, I really like that. And you said you didn't do like vision boards anymore. Is that correct?
I don't. If I want to, okay, because I decided to after my intentions, I was like, well, this feels weird not having any kind of material goals, but I really don't have any material goals anymore because one of my intentions is to not accumulate any more things,
Hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to accumulate any more houses or any more cars or any more. I'm really trying to just be more of a minimalist instead of collecting things or nicer things, always trying to push myself for something nicer,
Mm-hmm.
a bigger, nicer house, a bigger, more expensive couch, a bigger, nicer car. I want to I want to take that program out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's always that's going to be someone's always going to have a nicer car, a bigger house, a better vacation house, more money, more this. So
Mm-hmm.
that word more for me was a trigger because if I didn't achieve the more, then I'd be like, fuck it. I'm going to pour a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Or get irritated or frustrated or angry because I wasn't achieving more, which would then be like, okay, well, you better go work out for an hour and then you can have wine and then you can go out and it was just like a cycle, Keegan, it was just I didn't realize I was in my own cycle. So I try not to do that anymore, like vision boarding, and I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying for me, because
Mm-hmm.
I can whip out a good vision board, okay? I mean, I'll put Italy and all these cool places on with the best of them.
I love that. It sounds like you're doing a lot of the quality versus quantity kind of thing, and I mean that's something I think everyone should kind of embrace because it's one of those where that same kind of mindset of more really just like look at all the billionaires. Like, are they actually happy? Because I don't think so. Like, and there's something to be said there because I mean, if they really had what they wanted, would they still want more? You know? And I don't think that that's really the case, but I don't know. I'm not in their shoes. I'll probably never
Yeah.
ever be, and that's okay.
Yeah, but you could interview one. Now that would be interesting. Like you could interview a billionaire and ask them, "Are you happy?" Because I was in my meditation retreat this weekend and it was 3 days. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it was from 11 to 5 and my teacher Matab and Guru Karam, and they were teaching us, and yesterday's lesson was the only way to true happiness is through your intuition,
Hmm.
is by being intuitive. And I was like, oh, this makes me so happy because I teach intuition, right?
Hmm.
But going back to what you said, is in the South here, still to this day, Keegan, if I post something in a mom's group or in the wrong group, it'll be like, don't let the devil get in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, don't make the devil's made you do it.
Uh-huh.
And it'll be like, don't do a tarot card. I mean, my brother even said, when I did an intention setting for my niece and my daughter, and we were over Christmas. And
Mm-hmm.
I pulled them in the back in my little layer, right? And I'm getting out the cards. I'm like, okay, girls, time to think about like what you want to bring in for 2026. And, we're going through their stuff, we're going through their cards, and we get out, and he said something like, aren't those cards for the devil? Bring in the devil or something like that. I'm like, are you serious with that comment? I mean, we just had the best hour session, bonding and laughing and joy and happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then my niece texted me a month later. She's like, someone gifted me a tarot deck.
Ooh.
I was
That's
like,
awesome.
sweet. She's like, will you teach me? I'm like, of course. But that's still here in the South, as your point. It's
Yep.
still, the repression is still here.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
devil, they think, is still here.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I mean, I'm in Texas myself, born and raised, so
Awesome.
yeah. So I know that feel all too well. And I mean, I've got two of my tarot decks right over there. I've got another one down there. So yeah, it's one of those things where people fear what they don't understand, and tarot is pretty intricate, but it's also scary sometimes because it can show you things you don't want to look at, and it makes people go like, yeah, I'm going to push that trauma back away and go back to the cycles that make me comfortable, and I'm just going to avoid that pain, you
Oh,
know.
it so happened because I kept pulling the tower card,
Oof.
and I was like, "Oh, I really don't want the tower card."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Fine." And then I used my mantra, surrender to the will of the universe. If I'm supposed to get the tower card, then here it is. Bring it on. I am ready for it. Well, shit. If the tower card didn't come 3 days before Mardi Gras,
Oh.
down here, and I was like, damn it. So the tower card came. My husband and I had to sleep in different rooms for a week. We
Mm,
had our own little silent fight, which we never have like that long. And the
mm,
tower card was also beautiful at the same time because us sleeping in separate bedrooms and us getting in an argument, and it was over something so dumb, but he brought up a lot of past stuff that made me need that I needed for clarity,
mm,
So um and having some silent time, and I really liked it. And it made me really go inward and say, what do I need? What do I need? Okay, obviously he needed what he told me he needed, which caused an argument, and
mm.
that's his journey. But my journey, what do I need? And I'm on a whole nother path because of that tower moment, and it's only been 10 days.
Ah,
So
wow.
how can one tower card shift us into a whole nother path in a positive way?
Mm.
It's not like, it's the tower moment doesn't have to mean a death or a heart attack or a terrible car accident. It can, for us, it was just a really brutal argument.
Mm.
And I don't mean like physical, just like, just unfortunate.
Yeah.
But then it really came out the other side, and it was lovely. I
No.
mean, but it's also, I'm about to turn 50 this year, Keegan. So
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm very excited. So I would have to say I'm kind of in the reviewing my life and deciding what I do and don't want. And people warned me that it would be like this.
Mm.
They didn't warn me about childbirth, but they warned me about this. So I've been taking their advice and really looking at everything, and
Hmm.
it's working.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess if you look at it, the childbirth really, in a sense, would be like the tower, death card, and chariot all at once, right?
Yes. Yes. And I never pulled the chariot card. I've only pulled the chariot card once. I
Really?
mean, really. And all the times I use it, yeah, I just got the chariot card once. So I'm not,
Huh.
but I guess that's bringing in the new things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My chariot.
Yeah. And I mean, but I love hearing that kind of story because the tower card, a lot of people are afraid of, and they kind of have a right to be because it signifies like change and usually
Change.
sudden and abrupt change. And
Yeah.
as humans, we don't like change. I know I don't. It's something
No
that
one
takes a
does.
lot of hard work, and thankfully I have a pretty thick head, but sometimes that stubbornness can be my downfall. But I mean, sometimes I need my world to get shaken up, to have me get out of negative patterns or cycles that I dig myself into, unfortunately. And so you help people do that kind of stuff, but without having to necessarily always have the tower card pulled for them, right?
Yeah. And that was a perfect way to put it, Keegan. I think we might be brother and sister from another mister, or you're maybe, are you a Leo?
I am a Leo.
I am too. I was like, wait a minute, this sounds like exactly like something I would say. When's your birthday?
August 14th.
On the 9th.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
And my daughter's the 5th. So
Oh, wow.
we've got and stubborn is definitely, when you said you were stubborn, I was like, oh, that, it is our gift and our block at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, because we can withstand a lot of pain and suffering,
Mm-hmm.
and we can get through anything.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't feel like it at first.
But we can.
Uh-huh.
Literally, we are resilient. But at the same time, it is our downfall because
Mm-hmm.
we can get through anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You said resilient, and I spoke to someone not too long ago, and we were talking about how stubbornness and resilience are almost the two sides of the same coin. You know,
Feels like it.
yeah, stubbornness is more of the I'm not going to listen to what everything is telling me, and I'm going to keep going my way. But resilience is I'm gonna keep going my way while listening to what's around me and adapting as need be. So
Mm-hmm.
I
I
feel
think that's
that,
a lot of maturity too, don't you think? I
yeah.
mean, I feel like as we age and get more mature, I feel like my stubbornness is not as stubborn. It comes up in little peaks and valleys instead of being like all the time.
Yeah. I have to agree right there. Yeah, and I don't know what it is, but part of me liked to be stubborn in my pain, and that was a hard thing to come to reckon with too, because that's where like I put a lot of my identity into pain. And so whenever I started my healing journey, it was like, oh shit, what do I do now? Like, who actually am I? I don't know. This is kind of weird.
So I can totally relate with that, except I didn't like pain. But what happened is every time I needed to change, I would have a crisis
Ooh.
of pain. So I didn't enjoy pain. So it was
Hmm.
so interesting that you're the opposite. You were in the pain and living in it. And I didn't have it until, because I was so stubborn, I wasn't listening. See,
Ah.
I wasn't listening. So then the universe, my guides, whoever, caused pain, my
Hmm.
body, to force me to change.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
pain is such a good messenger.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I really have graduated from that. And it sounds like you have too. I'd love to hear what you say, but I have graduated from wanting to live in pain. But that didn't happen really until March of 2023,
Oh wow.
when I had my final, like I had a shoulder full on dislocation shoulder labrum tear with a
Oof.
full repair. And when I tell you it has taken me 2 years, it took me 2 years to actually get out of pain. I'm finally like, I'm never going to be in pain again. Never. I mean, I know we're aging and we're going to have pains, but we don't have to have that stubborn pain. It's
Hmm.
different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different.
Yep. It is entirely different. And the thing that comes to my head whenever you said that is kind of like how after you've been sick for like 5 days and you wake up and you're not sick, even though you're not 100%, you're still like, holy shit, I'm not sick again. Yes. And it just feels so good.
See, now if I get sick, okay, I run my frequencies. I have a zapper. I know exactly what supplements to take to kill it off real quick. I got my red light, I got my PMF mat, I got my Tesla lights, I got my gong. I throw everything at it first day. I don't even let it survive. I'm just like, I am not gonna be in pain. I'm gonna do everything. Just, I have to because I think we do get addicted
Mm,
to pain and suffering.
yep. Yeah, I 100% agree with you because, I mean, that is one of the things that kept me in my addiction was I was addicted to the pain. And even if it wasn't because I wanted the pain, is because I didn't really know anything else, you know? And that was kind of the thing is that I think that society is kind of addicted to pain in general nowadays, you know? Like why do they call it doom scrolling? We're not getting like all the laughs and everything whenever we're scrolling. Like we may get a few things here and there. It's like, oh, ha ha ha, and then you scroll and then you're like, oh, just pissed off the rest of the time. You know, and being angry is a type of pain, but we like to see anger as some people call it a justified emotion, and it definitely can be. But I think the thing is that we have to find out what that anger is trying to tell us on the inside and what we want to transmute it to for something else, you know. But it's really hard to do that if we don't know how to listen to our intuition. So,
Yeah. And you just taught me a new word again, doom scrolling.
no,
I've never heard that. Am I
yeah,
in a closet of intuition? Like, see, this is the problem with intuition. You end up talking to like all these higher beings that sometimes you don't talk to real people.
no, I totally get that.
But doom scrolling. But
Hmm.
you're right. Every time I do scroll, it's like, oh, I'm reading about glyphosate on my plants and my food.
Uh,
Or, but yeah, no, okay, that's see, I'm gonna use that in my vocabulary now, Keegan. But I also think people are addicted to their pain story, right?
ooh.
So
Mhm.
you felt the pain and you said you were addicted to the pain.
Mhm.
I was obviously addicted to the stubbornness and needed a crisis to change, right? I was addicted on some level to that.
Mhm.
But I also think people are addicted to their stories like, "Ooh, I feel bad.
Mhm.
I'm sad. I'm depressed."
Yep.
And just going even you get addicted to how you say it to people, when you say it to people, the patterns of how you tell the story repeatedly, you
Mhm.
know, and not breaking out of those patterns. I think all of that can be, my neck hurts, my neck hurts, my neck hurts. I had a client come in and he was like, my back hurts. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, well, when did this start? Well, it started a year ago. Well, that's when you broke up with your girlfriend.
Mm.
And he was like, oh. And I was like, so you're paying all her bills and all your bills. Well, no wonder your back hurts.
Yeah.
Is your back, did you really have an injury? Well, he's like, kind of, maybe a little disc here and there. And I was like, but is it really hurt or is it more like emotionally hurt? And he's
Mhm.
like, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. And I said, okay, because the back is financial.
Huh.
A lot of the pain in the back is financial. And we store all those emotions down the spine because each, vertebrate and all the nerves go to the different organs. So if you're holding anger towards it or fear or resentment or it just surfaces in the back.
Mhm.
And I get a text about, 2 weeks later. And he's like, I just want to tell you my back is great. And it was just like a quick mindset shift. Like
Huh.
it wasn't a hurt back that he had to go to PT for. It was a mindset shift that he had to just flip the switch and be
Mm.
like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm stressed about money, but this is going to end because we're breaking up. So I'm not going to have to pay these bills forever.
Mm. Ooh. Yeah. That's a really good point and story right there because it's really interesting. And I mean, not too long ago, I was actually having pains myself that were up in my shoulder and stuff. And I was equating it to being like more, I was working on my posture. And so part of it was that, you know, because whenever I was living in shame growing up, I'm trying to hide and everything. So my body
Mhm.
got adjusted to being smaller, but trying to actually stand proper. of course my body's going to hurt a little bit, but the thing is too is that my story had to change too. And whenever I was in rehab, one of the books that actually changed my life around was called Constructive Wallowing: How to Beat Bad Feelings by Having Them. And I was like, this is the stupidest book ever. Why would my therapist make me read this? You know, and so I was like, this is very strange because I didn't realize that I was actually wallowing in so much self pity. And whenever I looked at the word wallow, it means to be sitting in something as if you're enjoying it. And so if I'm wallowing in my self pity, that means I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. And I was like, no, this is so, I'm not enjoying this. But I was, because the attention I could get, or so on
Yeah.
and so forth. And it's just like I had to change that story too. And holy hell, was it hard, you know? And changing just that little bit can change so much else, because it's kind of like playing Jenga, you know? Like you're going to take out this one piece and you never know which parts are going to fall down if they do or not. The
Yeah.
tower, again.
The tower and the shoulders. I can so relate with you on the shoulders, because my shoulder injury, but before that, they were always kind of subluxing or tight,
Mm.
or, pain down those little angel wings. And then we used to call it, like, back in this little area, iPhone neck, from slumping, and then the shame with the shoulders rolling, like I don't want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
But the shoulders, so interesting. Also was told, like, the shoulders is also, you push away things,
Hmm.
not only the burdens that you carry for yourself and others, but you're pushing away opportunities and things. So you can hurt the shoulder doing the opposite of what you think you're doing. Whereas you think you're burdened and shame and all this, but it's like sometimes you're trying to get all these good things and you're just like, no, 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 which aligns with what you're saying about wallowing in the self-pity. It's like, no, 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 nothing good come to me. I'm over here enjoying my pity. I'm having so much fun over here having my pity party.
Wow. Uh, that, huh? I never thought about it that way, because, yeah, if you're pushing things away, your shoulders are definitely in that same kind of posture.
Yeah.
And I mean, whenever I've started this whole healing and recovery journey and just going further into my own spiritual work, it's very much been told to me that, like, you have to be aware, you have to keep your eyes and ears open for the opportunities and everything if you're going to try to manifest something or
Yeah.
whatnot. And how you can't do that if you're constantly pushing everything away and telling it, like, no, I don't want you.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, and the other, like, something very interesting that happened to me, well, because I scheduled it, but I did a living funeral.
Oh.
So I did a living funeral. Have you done one?
I did one with my wife a couple Halloweens ago.
Oh, okay. So it's so amazing. But I ended up seeing myself, and she says our facilitator, it's my friend Natalie, and she does them, and she has her own podcast too. So you could have
Huh.
her on your show too. Life on Earth podcast. She's wonderful.
Ooh.
Um, so she she was our facilitator. And at the end, when we're leaving our body and I'm in a grave, right? I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
grave and I can see my body leaving, and I'm this gold oval being. I'm
Mm.
literally a gold ball of light, and I'm meeting source.
Huh.
And I am just like, whoa, everybody needs to see this, or hopefully, now, my friend Kelly that did it with me, she didn't see this part. But so I'm a gold being of light and I'm meeting source, and the other gold beings of light are meeting me, and they're telling me, come on to the light, but I am the light and they are the light. So it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
me going to the light. We were all light beings going back to the source.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no meat suit, right? There's no body, there's no skin, there's no nothing. So, what it taught me in that moment is that anything that we truly want, whether it's sending a good vibe to somebody, or we want to live in a certain place, or we want to send a message to somebody that we love, we we literally have to do it from the energetic body first, which is the
Mm.
gold, our gold energetic body.
Mm.
And then it goes into our physical realm. Then we have to get the piece of paper and write the note, right? But
Mm.
see, we're taught to do it the other way. You know, print out the picture, write the note, see the house, buy the, manifest the car. It's like, no, it's the opposite way.
Huh.
We're the light being. So we have to send the vibration of the happiness and the joy and the desire first as the being and then trickle out. It's exactly opposite.
Huh. That's really cool. And I
Isn't that
mean, that
cool?
sounds like a really interesting living funeral to partake in because, like, I know a old version of myself would have definitely been like, I shouldn't go towards the light. Is it a bug zapper? You know?
Totally. Well, they told me the reason why I haven't died yet is because there was 6 people at my funeral and they were looking at me, and it was my 2 kids and my husband and my 3 parents, and they were all like, "I'm gonna miss you," and I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet. They're gonna miss me." And then when I asked Source, I said, "Well, have I done my, you know, have I finished my contract in this lifetime? Am I done?"
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "No, because your daughter would not be okay if you died right now.
Mm.
So we're keeping you alive because your mission is not complete."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Okay." And that, when I'm journaling after and, I'm writing my experience real quick, I it brought up all these tears again. I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm so close." Like they said I'm doing a good job, like from source, like I'm doing a good job. I'm sending out in the world what I need to be sending out, but it's not my time to go because I haven't finished my job with her.
Hmm.
And it was so that's why I think almost I think if you're ready, you should do a death simulation or a living funeral because there's so many interesting messages, and it would actually solve a lot of the religious wars and a lot of the repression because there is no choice of me going to hell or heaven. It was just us beings of light, and it was nothing. It was literally what they talk about, unconditional love and light.
Mm. Huh.
Like, that would heal the world, Keegan. It really would. If everybody got to see their death before they actually died.
Yeah. That would.
I mean, because I think a lot of like addicts and alcoholics and, a lot of just regular people too. I mean, really anybody, I think a majority of us, I'm not afraid to die, but I was afraid of how I was going to die.
Mm.
So having that living funeral really settled it for me.
Yeah.
It was like, "Oh, okay. We're here for a purpose, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
here for a purpose, and we've suffered, and now we don't have to suffer because we're a light being. And this is why I don't need, you know, a helicopter or a private jet because I just met Source. I literally just met Source.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is there?
Not much, if anything. So it does sound like your living funeral was much different than what I kind of did. I didn't really understand that there were like something. So did you like actually lay down in a casket and have everyone come around and stuff?
No, we laid on the floor. We had yoga mats, and I was covered, but I was covered with the smock, or
Mm-hmm.
shrock. What is it called? Shrock?
I
Shroud?
don't know how to pronounce
Shroud.
it. Oh, shroud. Okay.
I think it's a shroud. And she threw a flower on me,
Mm-hmm.
and I had the obituary with my picture and the date and everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
okay.
when she covered me with the shroud and threw the flower in, I sunk like 6 feet down into the ground. So I felt like I was in the ground, like had been lowered down. And then when I looked up, but my eyes aren't awake because I'm covered, I can see the faces looking at me. And that
Huh.
was my family.
Oh, wow. Huh.
And I was like, "Oh, 6 people came to my funeral." But, and I remember
Aw.
thinking like, it's really weird being this low in the dirt. but then you also have this connection with Mother Earth at the same time because you lose your body because she walks you out at how to leave your body. And you really do feel like you're going to be recycled with the earth, which then when you wake up, it makes you think, how can I protect the earth? I'm going to be buried in the earth.
Yep. Yeah. Uh, so, oh man, that sounds like a really cool experience, and I'm so glad that you had it too. I
You
hope
should
more
call
than,
Natalie.
yeah, I totally
She'll
should.
come to Texas. She will.
That would
She'll
be
come to
awesome.
Texas. She travels all over. She
Huh.
teaches yoga all over and she travels and
Huh.
yeah, so you
Yeah.
and your wife could do it together.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do a group of 6 if you have a few people that you wanted to do it with.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, that would be really, really cool to experience because, I mean, I've had my own near death experience whenever I did my detox because,
Mm.
after being on alcohol for so long and then going cold turkey, my body did not like that. And
And you did that by
so,
yourself?
no, otherwise I'd be dead. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So they helped you along with that in rehab
well, so
to make sure
my
your body didn't go into shock?
No. So I went and got a medically supervised detox, but within like I think it was the first 12 hours or so, I started going into delirium tremens. And then next thing I know is 4 days later, and I woke up in the hospital tied to a bed. Uh, yeah, and so my liver gave out on me and everything, and they found me seizing on the floor at the detox, and so yeah, that was a whole experience all on its own. I remember running next to my body while they were wheeling me across the parking lot to the hospital, and, and yeah,
And you met Source, or you were like, "Give me back my body"?
it was kind of weird, because at one point I didn't understand what exactly was going on because I didn't understand I was next to my own body in a sense
Wow.
because the delirium tremens had me uh I was hallucinating so bad that at one point I didn't know what was reality or not, like whenever the hallucination started, it sounded like I had a pair of headphones just like not on my ears but like this far out, and I could hear entire albums of songs like from start to finish, every note, every lyric, and it was super weird. But then after that, I don't remember too like I remember a little bit more inside of there. I don't remember whenever I finally fell over and seized up, but I do remember running next to my body, trying to go towards the ex-wife's apartment because we could see it from the hospital and stuff. And so I remember trying to go there, but I couldn't leave my body yet. Like I was still tethered to it. And then after that, that's whenever all the really crazy stuff started. And then I met Source, and I was actually in a forest and in a cabin of sorts. And so then they told me everything that was going to happen. Not everything, but a good portion. But kind of the same
Really?
thing. Yeah, kind of the same thing. They were like, "Nope, you're not dying, but you have to be ready to actually do something to change. And are you willing to do whatever it's going to take?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to get clean, get sober, do this whole like everything that I've been talking about, been wanting to do forever." And so they're like, "All right, well, you're not going to like it, but we got something for you." And so then that's whenever I found myself in a 9 month Christian military rehab. And, yep,
Really?
yep. It was about a week later, and so then while I was like, I said I was going to do whatever it takes to do this, so I have to go. I can't really chicken out now because you can't take back from source like that. So yeah, and then while I was in
No.
yeah
No.
while
No, no.
yeah, while I was in rehab, that's whenever they're like, "Hey, you're going to start a recovery podcast for mental health and addictions and traumas." And I was like, "But I'm not even a fan of podcasts." And they said, "That's what you're going to do." And so here we are.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing story. So do you think that people get to have like the other ones that check out, whether it be overdosing or whatnot, do you think they have the conversations with Source like you and decide either to check in or check out, or do you feel like that was kind of for you?
So the message that I kind of got was that there is a time for everyone, but at the same time, for me, I very much wanted to live, but I didn't understand that I wanted to live at the same time because
Okay,
at
yeah.
the time I was going through a divorce. And so consciously, I wanted nothing else but to die, but
Yeah.
subconsciously, I wanted everything to live. And so that's whenever truth came out was that no, I want to live, and they offered me the option, like, hey, if you want to live, you're going to have to do some stuff you're not going to be happy about. But I think that some people do get that choice, and I think some people are ready to pass, and it's kind of like there's a song, I think it was Citizen Soldier or something, where they're talking about how suicide isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like sometimes it is someone's release because you don't know how long they were actually holding on to pain, you know?
Hmm.
And so I think some people do genuinely want to pass. And if that's how it is, then so be it. Like who is
Yeah.
it to say besides them and source? So, uh,
Yeah. And it really is a relationship, like you said. It really is a conversation. And because I was like, is it my time? Because when you're doing the death simulation, it's like you do feel dead. You are dead. It's not like you're half checked in, like, oh, I'm in my living room right now. It's like you feel absolutely having the conversation.
mhm.
So I get that was that source. You did it a different way than me.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the beautiful things about it, though, because in all my upbringing, I was born and raised Catholic, but I started asking questions at a really young age, and I couldn't get the answers that I was looking for. It was just one giant circle, and at the same time, I was like, "There's something else besides this," And so that's whenever I found my
Yeah.
spirituality, and that's whenever it came to me that spirituality is very much a personal journey because in a sense, like you said, we are the light beings. We are source in a sense, but at the same time, we can't have someone else's experience for them. And I think a lot of people try to make that the case.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of my pain from the first kind of 12 years in business,
Mm-hmm.
doing Reiki healing, energy healing, I think a lot of it is I lived up in the ethers. I lived with the angels and the guides, and I lived up where there wasn't a lot of suffering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was real easy for me to take people's pain away, and they would feel great when they left, right? Or their marriage would shift, or their kids would be happier, or they'd make more money. And then I realized after so many years, oh my gosh, I have their pain. I'd be
Mm.
like, why does my leg hurt? Why does my stomach? Why do I have a new parasite? Why, so pain is transferable. And I'm reading this book right now because of our argument,
Ooh.
called Conscious Loving.
Huh. Okay.
And I don't know if you've read it, but
Mm-mm.
it's amazing. It's I did some coaching with Gay a while back, but we worked on the upper limits, which
Okay.
if you haven't read his book, The Big Leap, that's a great one.
Mm-mm.
And but their original books, him and his wife together, they're big time. So good. It's really they described it as co-commitment instead of, and co-commitment versus entanglement. Like if you're willing to tell the truth, you start with truth, which is just truth, right? And then you're in more of a co-commitment. But if you're not willing to face the truth, whether you're stubborn or whether you're living in pain or whether you're dreaming, and I
Mm.
just thought that was like, that's so cool. I mean, think about how many entanglements we're in versus committed, and think about how we're always trying to take away people work. I don't know. It's just so cool. I think
Huh.
you'll really like the book.
Yeah. That you'll have to send me a link to that because I definitely want to check that out. It sounds really interesting. And I mean, entanglement is one of those things that I think we find ourselves in a lot more with everyone around us instead of choosing to be in those what was the other word?
Commitment.
Co-commitment. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, isn't that what a marriage should be? Like it's
Yeah, co-commitment,
co-commitments.
but yeah, co-commitment, but even like let's say with my daughter and I, since we're so much alike, right? As far as,
Mhm.
both being Leos, both stubborn, both, opinionated, both, you know, strong wills.
Uh-huh.
You know all the things, Keegan. Okay? You are
Yeah.
one. But we can manipulate each other
Mm.
and create an entanglement.
Ah.
Or we can just be like, I'm tired and I really want this, and you're bugging me, or
Mhm.
whatever. And
Yeah.
so we've learned, with her being away from home and not us being entangled like under the same roof, we've learned to just be more truthful, which has really helped with, not living in pain or sorrow, or, I don't have to have a glass of wine anymore because I miss her. I just say, I miss you. And I
Yeah.
send her, a note or something, instead of being like, I miss her and I'm so sad. I need some wine, just like, so,
Oh, that's awesome. And I think that that's something a lot of us should strive for, because uh, it almost sounds like codependency to a point, like
that's what the
something that
book
you're.
is about.
Oh, okay. Ah.
Yes.
Then, I mean, I know I had my issues with codependency to some extent, and it sucked. And I still have, I'm still trying to work on some of those wounds and stuff, like the people pleasing wound and everything. And
Mhm.
that can be hard to self advocate and say, like, hey, no, this is what I need, or this is my truth. I'm going to let you know, and your emotions are not my responsibility. So, like, that's really hard to do, but it's one
Yeah.
of those things where I'm not supposed to sit there and stomp all over someone while I do that. It's like, no, this is just me. This is what's going on, and I'm just objectively saying it as best as I can, you know.
Yeah, and it's been real eye-opening to bring that in. I don't know. I guess I'm just, following the path, right?
Hmm.
Surrendering. It sounds like you are too. It's like we're just kind of surrendering and following the path, and what comes in our path, if we say yes, it's probably for our highest and best good, instead
Hmm.
of trying to manipulate or try to work it this way or try to make this happen. It's just, that just takes so much energy and so much entanglement. And in the end, it doesn't really bring what you want anyway.
Nope. Nope. um, Real quick, Lillian, we are right near the end of this episode, and I forgot to ask, where can people find you? And do you think that we could see you on in the future? Because this has been an amazing conversation, and I want to have another one and dig deeper.
Yes. Okay. Well, of course, I'd love to come back on because you're amazing and you're doing such good work in the world, and I want to be a part of it. And maybe you'll come on my podcast. So
Yeah.
you can find me at awakenchange.com,
Okay.
and then also on Facebook and Instagram, and then my podcast, which is Awake and Change.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would love to come on. I would love to be on and just help you make your message even louder, however I can do that.
Sounds good.
And since we are at the end of this episode, I got one last question for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, Lillian, the name of this podcast is Retrieving Sanity, and we explore how all facets of living life impact mental health. Looking at the incredible motley adventures of your life, what does retrieving sanity personally mean to you today? And what's one practice or perspective you believe is crucial for anyone on that journey?
What's crucial for me is taking space just with me, because since I am a fixer and I love to solve problems, and I feel like spiritually there is someone to help you solve anything that you need. So to get out of that mode and just into my heart as a light being, I feel like I need, 15 minutes of either silence, a nice meditation, a little napper, with a crystal, some nice warm tea. I'm drinking my tea and I make it about a 15-minute ritual.
Hmm.
And so it's different every time, but it's a time for me to kind of settle in and do some kind of, light stretching or a movement or some kind of thing that takes me out of my head and into my heart. So that's how I stay sane.
Ooh, I love that. And thank you for sharing that.
You're
it,
welcome. Thanks for having me.
of course, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure and quite a blast. And I'm looking forward to our next episode.
Me
And
too.
everyone else out there, everyone else out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, try to love yourself, love others if you can, but you gotta try to love yourself first. And this has been Lillian, this has been Keegan, and we'll see y'all in the next episode. But until then, much love. Schlan. And